Thank you for joining Asia's best radio station.
www.ballyballyradio.co.uk brings you the latest Bollywood news, updates and film promos. Download latest podcasts of Carry On Harry Show on iTunes.
Now shake hands with celebrities on Singapore talk show Carry On Harry.
Inviting music composers, producers, artists on board on Carry On Harry Talk Show for connecting you to worldwide audience. Write to Harry Johal at carryonharry.com or visit www.carryonharry.com for more details.
Hi friends, welcome to yet another show with your talk show host Harry Johal. Today we have filmmakers Darwin Saranic and producer Tommy May joining us on Carry On Harry Talk Show for the very first time to talk and discuss about their film Aban and Khorshid, which is based on real life incident which took place somewhere in Iran in 2005. The film deals with a sensitive topic of homosexuality, and it has been applauded for the way the film has been portrayed, the characterization, the storyline. So we'll be talking and discussing about this film with the filmmakers to get to know about what went around into making of Aban and Khorshid and what kind of inspiration did they draw to, what is the message through which they want to convey to the audience, because this film has been acclaimed in Seattle International Film Festival. So let's get in touch with them and get to know more about the film.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Darwin, and hi, Miss Tommy. How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
I'm extremely excited. I'm good, and the weather over here in Singapore is pretty rainy today. But I just hope that we'll be able to talk and discuss a lot about your film.
Great.
All right. So first of all, let me know how has been the day for you so far?
We were just both discussing our day. It's 8:00 in the evening here, and so we were just sharing our daily stories. It's been a very, very interesting day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, let's first talk with Mr. Darwin. Mr. Darwin, tell me, how did you get an idea of making a film like Aban and Khorshid, and what was the source of inspiration for you to start this project?
Sure. So the source of inspiration was a photograph that I viewed about 9 years ago when I was still in college of two young men who were executed at the age of 18 for being gay. And the image just struck a chord in me and stuck with me ever since. And so about 2.5 years ago, I re-explored that narrative, that story, that true life event, and just pondered the question, what would you share with the love of your life the moments you're to be condemned for loving that person? And it's really all stemmed from that one fundamental question that I was asking myself, and from that I created this narrative of these two characters, these two men,
correct,
and their life together.
Correct. Since you were inspired from a picture of two persons who actually went through such a tragic thing in their life, did you assemble the storyline from imaginative point of view, or did you actually went into a lot of research about their real life, what actually happened before this incident?
There was a lot of extensive research that took place. The narrative itself it's fictional. For myself, a lot of research, not only with the events that took place between the two young men, but other people's stories in Iran and their experiences escaping the country even and seeking asylum throughout the world. I had the privilege of meeting a man by the name of Arsham Parsi. He runs an organization out of Toronto called IRQR. It stands for the Iranian Railroad for Queer Refugees. Mm-hmm. And I contacted him, and he was a wealth of information of not only his personal experience, having to flee the country himself, but also others. And through that, I was able to construct a narrative that is grounded in truth and in the realities that take place not only in Iran but in other countries that practice Sharia law.
Correct. And how open was it for you in terms of getting this film accepted by the masses? Because even though it's a short film, but the story is quite compelling in terms of going having a sympathetic kind of a feel for these characters, and of course the issue that you are trying to portray. So you wanted to venture into this kind of an experimental project. Were there like any doubts in your mind that should you go in with this project, or should you try something other which is more acceptable to the wider audience?
Of course. I think as an artist, we always question everything that we do, and throughout the entire process there was a lot of questioning, questioning myself, questioning why this story, why everything, and for me for me it was because it's an important subject. As a gay man myself, living in a country that only recently has become accepting of homosexuality itself. We've come a long way, and we have a long way to still go. I feel a sense of responsibility to help my other brothers and sisters throughout the world to acquire the same basic human rights that I have.
Correct. And coming back to Miss Tommy, ma'am, since you have been involved in production with quite a couple of years now, you started with Goats, followed by a few other projects, including the feature with the Romantic with Katie Holmes. So why did you exactly pick up this particular film as one of your production creation?
Darwin came to me. Well, Darwin and I met a couple years ago, and I knew that I wanted to work with him. We have a feature script that came about before Aban and Khorshid. But then Darwin came to me with this project, and I was so moved by it, and just knew that it was a story that had to be told. It was important. His vision was so clear, and his research was so thorough that it just made it easy to speak about with other people, to get people on board. I couldn't imagine not doing it.
Okay. So were you involved in the project more towards, from the investment point of view as a producer, or were you also involved in, giving your creative inputs, and you were totally involved, at the scripting level and other stages of filmmaking?
Well, we used Kickstarter to raise our funds mostly, and then, I was just there to be of service to Darwin and his vision and this project, and hold it and make sure that we were staying true to that. Just keeping the crew and everyone on the same page. But in terms of Darwin had it. Darwin had the words on the page. He really had the vision, and it was just holding that space for him for it to come into fruition.
Correct. And as a producer, you gave the full liberty to your director, Mr. Darwin, for the creative expression, or were there certain other people also involved, where you had to take a certain decisions about, not just the subject part of the story, but also in terms of marketing and all?
Towards the editing process, there was a group. All of the producers, I feel like, pushed Darwin. He can speak for himself. To keep going and keep going. And it was a long post process of fine tuning it until it got to that right place because the script was very poetic and beautiful, and the edit sort of started out a little bit more traditional. That was not serving the piece at all. So we had to play around with it for a bit to get back to that more like lyrical style that I think Darwin originally intended.
Correct. Coming back to you, Mr. Darwin, what were your experiences while making of this film? Of which part of the world did you shoot this subject? And, were there like any, challenges involved while shooting for the film?
We shot the entire film in and around Southern California, Los Angeles area, basically because of budgetary reasons. We had looked at shooting overseas. However, there was just a lot of contract restraints, things with Screen Actors Guild, hiring actors, bringing them overseas, et cetera, et cetera. It just, for a short film, did not make any sense to shoot anywhere else other than our home base, really, of Los Angeles. So it required a lot of pre-production, a lot of visual research. I had an image bank, a portfolio, probably, I want to say 150 to 200 pages thick of just reference images, stories, articles, you name it, to really bring the entire crew, the production staff, everyone on board, and to really align everyone with the same vision. So that was the biggest challenge, was to bring the visual truth to the film, because we were filming in Southern California.
Okay.
So that was a challenge, but a very exciting one, and I my hat's off to the production designer. Our cinematographer is one of the best in the world as far as I'm concerned, and we pulled it off.
Correct. I want to explore a little bit of characters from the film. Like you have a character Aban and you have a character Khorshid. So when you were writing the characters for the two, is it like really based on the two real human beings that existed in life, or did you get your own shades into the characterization and you drafted like this? Aban will be having this sort of a character and Khorshid will be having this sort of a character. How much is the reality and how much is the fiction work when it comes to drafting the final sketch of the characters in the movie?
Right, that's a fantastic question. The characters themselves are they're fictional characters that are inspired by any one of the men and women who have been subjugated and condemned for being gay. And the character, developing the characters, it really stemmed from the stories and the research that I had obtained, that I had done through working with Arsham Parsi up in Toronto, through watching several documentary projects, things like that of men and women's experiences living in Iran underground as gay and lesbians.
Correct. Ms. Tommy, I want to ask you now, since the film has already got a special mention from the film festival jury, what was most exciting for you to listen about the film? Was it the statement itself, or was it like after the screening of the film and the public really came forward, or media came forward and shared their experiences about the film? For you as a producer, what was the most proud moment?
Honestly, one of my favorite screenings is the screening that we just had at the Levantine Cultural Center in Los Angeles. It's the small cultural center, and it was actually, I think, the first time that we actually had like Muslim and Middle Eastern people in the audience. We haven't really experienced it like a big Middle Eastern population, I'm looking forward to sharing it more, and hearing that, those people coming up to us afterwards and hearing those stories, like, that was so touching and inspiring to like keep getting this film into more festivals, having more private screenings, holding these conversations. It was like a very intimate screening and discussion, and when I was there, it was just like, yes, this is exactly why we made this, to have these personal conversations, to get the awareness and the conversation going and have it spread.
Correct. Since you have addressed a very sensitive, subject through the film, what kind of efforts are you putting up, in terms of marketing this film, so that the message which the director had in mind should reach the right target audience?
That is a great question. Right now, we've really just been focusing on festivals, and that's sort of just been taking its course. Like, we literally get emails every day from all over the world requesting to see our film. We're going to be playing in Hong Kong and Oslo and Turkey, like all these different places, which is really exciting. And that's just sort of taking off on its own through word of mouth, through these other festivals. People are hearing about this film. On the 20th of August in Los Angeles, we're having a screening at the LGBT Center, which I think will be fantastic. Another one of those like intimate, personal screenings, and just spreading the word through the community in that way. And like through these small pockets all over the world, people are becoming aware of this film, which is pretty amazing.
Correct. I want to ask Mr. Darwin, sir, for you, what is most important thing? What kind of message you personally want to convey to the audience from the film's point of view?
For me, the film to convey that the importance of oh, sorry, we have a dog barking here.
No problem.
The importance of human connection and love, regardless of race, religion, sexual preference, all of it. That's the driving force for me as the filmmaker, as the writer and the director, is that we all deserve the right to love. It is a basic human fundamental right, and every single human being on this planet deserves that.
Well, it's a lovely message. We just hope that your film reaches far and wide audience, and at the same time the message through that you have just conveyed, that we should live with the feeling of love, irrespective of what our sexuality is. Anyway, sir, it was lovely pleasure talking to you, and getting to know about your project Aban and Khorshid, and I'm very thankful to both Miss Tommy and Mr. Darwin, to you, that you took up your time, you discussed your film, and it was lovely.
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being in tune with Best Talk Show. Carry On Harry with entertainment editor Harry Johal on balabalaradio.co.uk. Inviting music composers, producers, artists on board on Carry On Harry Talk Show for connecting you to worldwide audience. Write to Harry Johal at carryonharry.com or visit www.carryonharry.com for more details.